in this place for a learning purpose. So I would like to, first of all, to welcome warmly once again our professor for having this very good willing of coming, sharing with us his expertise, his experience, and for our capacity building. So we really want to thank you, Professor. So we really want to thank you so much as we welcome you. So our dear colleagues, so please let us take advantage of this. So hopefully that our thanks, our recognition will be conveyed to your university. He's coming from the University of Kigali. Yes, in Egypt. So he's going to be with us up to 19th. So he came yesterday. We had just a welcome remarks by the senior management yesterday, and he has managed to attend the workshop of students who are following the workshop for dissertation writing. So now he's here to share with us and to help us as academic staff to have a training on how to write a proposal for research grant, just grant research proposal, how to prepare it, how to go through it. So we'll have time to share with him more expertise, more experience, and so on. So why are we here? Purposely, why are we here? And why have we decided this theme? I will not take long, but what I want to say, all of us know that the mandate of the university is teaching, learning, but before teaching and learning, the prerequisite of that one is the research. Because you cannot teach something you have not searched for. You cannot teach something that you don't know. Which means that even if we think that our core mandate is teaching, most of the time we deal with handling workload and classroom. But the core mandate is teaching, is research, and the community service. But I want sincerely to hear this. The prerequisite and the most important thing is the research. Even the knowledge you are delivering, we have been received from the people who have created knowledge, philosophers, the pioneers of knowledge. Those people came up with knowledge by doing what? By doing research. And the lecturers who taught us, they have also gone through research to get the knowledge which has been just done by those philosophers, but also they have searched for it and they have prepared it, they taught us. So now we are blessed to be here as we are teaching, as we are supposed to teach others. After teaching overall, now that comes to learning, teaching and learning, then it goes to the entire community. So by doing research, by teaching, we are indirectly serving, preparing and serving the community. So please, we are here now for strengthening our existing knowledge, our existing skills, our existing knowledge, so that you can be more productive in what we are doing. So this is a continuous training, and we shall be learning, we learn from birth up to the tomb. So we are here now for just getting this opportunity of building our capacity. And I would like to remind again that such kind of opportunity, it's an opportunity that you cannot take for granted. So we have to take it, we have to follow it and to exploit it and to look at how we can apply this one. So we have been blessed this time with our Professor Anton, who is in charge of partnership. So far we have increased the number of MOUs we have signed with international universities. We have around the MOU with around 23 universities from UK, from different corners of the world. And from those universities now, we have come up also with having an opportunity of having visiting professors. So now we have around 25 ones. So you have seen some of them have been started to be uploaded on the website. So I would like to say that to clap for Professor Kortam, because among those professors is the one who have managed now to come and visit the university and provide such kind of wonderful services that is going. So very recently we shall have the other one for the Faculty of Law. So we shall be having several times different professors from different areas who will be sharing with us different experience from their areas and also from their universities. So Professor Kortam is an expert in management, but specializing in marketing. In other words, is an expert in business areas. So business is a part of life. Whatever we are doing is a business. Business is anything that we do for getting a profit, for getting an interest. So anybody who is not coming maybe from the faculty of business, don't feel that maybe this is not your concern, because business is part of who? It's part of life. Whatever we are doing, we do it for getting anything you do for getting profit, it's a business. So without delaying, I think they have already connected everything. So I would like to wish you having a fruitful time and a fruitful seminar. And I would like to thank everybody who have managed to be here at this particular time. Our dear professor, so thank you very much once again. We can now start our seminar, but if you can have a say, so this is your home. This has become already your home, there is no doubt. So the floor is yours. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Actually, I'm speechless after what the professor has got to say, and actually the introduction he did saved 50% of what I wanted to say, actually. Before anything, I would like really to express my gratitude, my deep gratitude for the University of Lay Adventist University of Kigali in the beautiful, great country of Rwanda. It's a very exciting experience for me. It's like I'm actually going through what I can safely describe as a dream coming true. I have been visiting professor in different parts of the world, especially the UK and US, and I'm going to tell you about that shortly. But I never felt so much involved, so much excited, so much committed as I feel here, because this is the first time I'm a proud African as well, and I'm proud of Rwanda as an experience. So actually, I feel very much home. I didn't hesitate actually when I received that email. I felt so proud. It gave me a wonderful, it was a Friday like this, and it gave me extreme sense of pleasure and achievement actually. And also I met now the Vice Chancellor, and great hospitality. Thank you very much. My name is Wael Kortam, and actually let me tell you a little bit, not about myself as a person, but about myself as someone who is interested in business and marketing. But let me first make a very nice observation. I see a good female component here. Well, let me tell you a secret. At the British University in Egypt, the faculty is called the Faculty of Business Administration, Economics, and Political Science. We are 86 doctors. We call them module leaders, doctors. 7 of them only are men, and the rest are females. And of course, as a husband and the father of 3 daughters, I'm very well accustomed to surviving in female-dominated environment. And here I can see Professor Christine is a female dean. Also, we have the first female dean at the British University in Egypt. So this is great, and this is important, actually. It's not a joke. Female empowerment, and I hope my gentleman doesn't mind me saying so, is usually they have lots of innovation, creativity, and humane input into any place that they run. Actually, I started interested in this when I was a student, exactly at the same stage that your wonderful students that I met yesterday. I was taught a marketing research course, and I went down to the professor there and asked him, is this about listening to people, knowing what they want, and trying to provide it to them? He said, yes, exactly. This is what marketing research is. So I said, this is going to be my career for the rest of my life. I love to do this. I'm eager to please people, and I love to listen to them and to provide them with what you do. And also we can do this for money, for profit. It's not something to apologize for. This is how I got interested, and then I was appointed as a teaching assistant at Cairo University, where I graduated. And during the time of my master's degree at Cairo University, I worked with my professors who were active consultants in the market, and to the UK on purpose. I applied my study on the UK marketing research industry, which is a very well-developed, world-class industry there. And as a part of my PhD, I had the chance to work at some of them, and I wanted to transfer this not only to Egypt, but Egypt and which I consider a part of the Middle East and a part of Africa. So I wanted to transfer this know-how. I would like to get back to the point that the professor was making, because I always say this. The difference between universities and the schools, of course, are very respectable people, but they have a curriculum where they're supposed to teach. In universities, we teach what we research. We teach what we research. So when they rank universities, why do they look at research first? Because if the university has good research, it means by definition that it has good education and good community service, and not vice versa. So research has become the game. Not only for quality reasons, but also for economic reasons. Research, usually universities would rely on education as a major source of revenue. This is now changing, and this is the message I wanted to get across when I founded that Advanced Marketing Research Center at the British University in Egypt. It has been a dream of mine for 20 years, but I was a little bit concerned when I was working in different universities that they wouldn't embrace the concept. The concept is simple, and I've done it in my own marketing research firm. Best science for best practice. Best science for best practice. When you say this in the market, people say, no. You are economists, and you know Keynes. Keynes said, and I believe he was true, there is nothing more practical than a good theory. He came up with a good theory, and that theory brought the world out of the Great Recession. And Roosevelt was able to listen to him and apply the good theory he came up with. So actually, yes, and I got my PhD in 1997, and now working for 26 years as a marketing academic, active researcher, and active consultant. I can tell you this is very much true. I try to be as much scientific as I can, and I give recommendations to companies, and thanks God, I've been fortunate enough that I didn't give any recommendation to a company and it lost money because of my recommendation. Of course, it's help from God, but also it's scientific principles. when we get on the aeroplane, and 99.999 it gets you to your destination. This is science. This is science. And science, by definition, is global. So there is no Egyptian marketing and American marketing and Rwandan market. No. Marketing is marketing, of course, with cross-cultural differences. But the global part is very important. Actually, in order to make research that gets out publications that improve the university ranking and improve the quality of its teaching and the community service, also you need to do this competitively. No one, the good old days where people would give you money without competition to do research is over. Actually, they've been over a long time, at least for 3 decades. But at the same time, the sky is the limit. Opportunities for research funding and research grants are endless, either on the national level, on the regional level, and on the international level. And in order to do this, need only 2 simple documents. A good CV for every one of us and for our institution. A good CV profile for our institution. And a good proposal. A good proposal. A good proposal that comply with the sponsoring body requirements, with the good scientific requirements, with your research agenda. Any granting body recognize the fact that you're doing research for your own. So actually they welcome you to reflect your own concerns and your own interests and your own strategic agenda. I've gone through your vision and mission. You have wonderful vision and mission. In each proposal, you have to reflect that, and people would respect that. I'm not doing research to please the sponsor. The sponsor is providing money for you to do research for your own benefit. Of course, they have their own agenda of having collaboration and different research agenda. But they welcome, for example, let me give you an example, the National Science Foundation, which is the most important sponsor of sciences at the United States. For the first time in 5 years, they are dedicating a special, they never dedicate any special funding for specific countries or specific regions. Now they are providing lots of funding, basically for the African continent, and also most importantly, they use very little funds for social sciences. Now they are providing much more funding for social sciences. And that funding can start from something like $20,000 or $30,000, and it can go up to $1 million for one research project. If you have 2 things, it's a project that improves and advances basic science for humanity, and at the same time addresses very effectively, as the professor was saying, your community. So you need to look at something that's important globally, scientifically, and at the same time service provides benefits, specific benefits to your very specific community. For example, the project I got with one of my colleagues, this was back in 2007, was about the marketing diffusion of new financial products. He was coming from the finance area. This is a very important scientific thing. We have a problem with diffusion of financial innovations, but with a special emphasis on the financial industry in Egypt, which is very important to the development of the country. And very important, we had lots of problems and opportunities in developing new financial products in Egypt and the Middle East. We are not so far we have not been very successful in banks, in insurance companies, in the stock exchange to come up to design viable and market-oriented financial products, either derivatives or common stocks or whatever. So this is the kind of thing they look for. You look at a very important scientific thing. My first experience with this actually was the Fulbright. The Fulbright is a grant body. It has been established in 1948 by Senator William Fulbright to cooperate scientifically and academically with every country in the world. They provide different kinds of grants. They have grants for MSc, grants for PhD, and grants for postdoctoral. This is the one I get for visiting, to be a visiting research fellow at an American university, and to do research mainly and come up with publications. And I wanted to do this for, at the time, I did this back in 2000. I wanted to do this, my own agenda, for 2 or 3 reasons. First, I was at that time very good with publishing, of course, nationally in Egypt and the Arab world, but also I was doing very well in publishing in European journals. But I've not touched the American journals, which are, of course, the top notch, the good one of them. So, and also I lived in America as a teenager with my father. He was a diplomat there, but I've never been a part of the academic community. So I wanted to have this experience, this exposure, and at the same time, I wanted to serve my agenda as a consultant. So the topic I've selected was benchmarking marketing performance, which is a very important scientific thing. We still don't have really valid and reliable indicators of marketing performance, which is an important scientific thing. And yet, lots of Egyptian and American companies suffer. Actually, some American companies and Egyptian companies simply close the marketing department because saying they're not doing any contribution. It's only the salespeople. You have to question whether the marketing thing is really contributing. So we had to be able to separate the marginal contribution of marketing performance. Say, without marketing, this would have never been happening. And this is not easy. It includes, it's very much interdisciplinary, not only marketing. We had to include people from accounting, cost accounting, from economics, economic modeling, and things like that. So it was a big experience in this. After having this and tell them how to do a winning proposal, and let me tell you a joke about this. When they asked me to do this first, they asked me to do it at my home university, which was Cairo. And then my professors who taught me said, "Are you crazy? You're going to teach us how to do a proposal. We are the one who taught you how to do proposals. You're crazy." I said, "Okay, you're right." After 2 or 3 years, when they've seen that I've been making lots of money out of this, they said, "Well, please come and teach us what you're doing." So it's very much mutual learning. I'm still learning to do proposals, and it's a real challenge. But you cannot actually get any money either from, it's a real challenge. But you cannot actually get any money either from academic sources or professional sources without a proposal. Lots of this information you already know because you are very much qualified, the doctors and the professors. But let me share with you some of those ideas. So a research proposal is an individual's or company's offer in the form of a work plan. We're talking about the future. Prospectus, outline, a statement of intent or draft plan to carry out an integrated research project. Integrated, it has a start, procedures, end for a specific deliverable that is rigorous, following totally scientific methods. And let me comment on this point. Some people would say to me, "Wael, methodology for a PhD is not methodology for a research paper, is not methodology for professional report." This is totally untrue. If you are driving a car, the rules of driving are the same. Whether you're driving from here to next street or you're driving from here to South Africa, it is the same rules. You don't apply only the driving rules if you're driving long distance. It is the same rules. We apply it for different purposes, but it is the same rules. You have to think of the research design. You have to think of the sampling design, of the measurement and scaling, of the data collection, of the data analysis. You have to be the same rigorous, doing a very much logical and systematic steps, just like I have seen you're doing wonderfully in the dissertation. Yes, that's true very much. That's rigorous building up. We have to start from where others have ended, not from where others have started. This is mainly literature review. Verifiable, we have to be very integral. I've looked at your vision and you're talking about integral education. Yes, we have to have all the evidence very transparent. Replicable, we have to document everything you have done so that if anybody would like to replicate this research in a different context, a different country, a different market, a different industry, different time, different technology, different people, this can happen. And of course, and I guess this is what's so great about business sciences. For example, you cannot ask Professor Einstein what to do with his famous equation, because he's simply saying that you can turn light into mass and the mass into light. Whatever you can do this, you can do a nuclear bomb with that, or you can do a great nuclear reactor for treating cancer, for example. So, but because he's talking about abstract phenomena, he's talking about light, he's talking about mass, he's talking about speed, he's talking about velocity. These are abstract things you can use for whatever discipline. That's why it's called theoretical physics. But we are talking about customers, financial statements, compensation packages, recruitments, promotion. These are things that people practice every day. We don't have the luxury of saying, this is a theoretical paper, you go and see what you can do with it. People on the fire line, business people and entrepreneurs are working on these things day and night. So actually, we have to provide something of value. It doesn't have to be a specific for a company. And by the way, talking about publications, now all major top-notch publications ask you actually to do an executive summary or an executive report of your paper. I had a paper accepted in marketing theory, for example, and marketing theory, and they said, please, you have to provide an executive summary of what you did, how executives can benefit from this. I said, come on, guys, this was a paper on foundations of a relatively marketing theory, which is applying Einstein's principles into marketing. He said, we don't care. You have to tell executives what they can do with this, or the paper will not be published. So it's becoming very important that we are talking, we can provide, and this is actually a great source of pain and the trouble, but also a great source of reward for us. We are important, not only, by the way, to companies, even to the state. The Egyptian state now is asking for marketing. Actually, the president of the republic said that literally in the television. He said marketing is an absent culture of the Egyptian state. So actually, everybody now is asking for business. Business has become a very important part of life. This was not the case 40 or 5 or 50 years ago. I remember, now speaking of universities, I was in Cairo University. I just returned from the UK back in 1998. And I was talking in a public seminar, and I said, and the president of the university at the time was there, and I said that students should be treated as customers. And he interrupted, he said, what? Do you think you're working in a supermarket? Are you crazy? The students are damn lucky that they are here and we are teaching them. The years have passed. 10 years later, he retired from the public university and became a president of a private university. And then he called me on the phone and he said, well, I want you to do a branding plan for the university. I said, no, I want a formal public apology from you first. Going back on what you said, of course I was joking. This is how the deregulation and the customization has changed our mindsets. So, yes, of course, students should be treated as customers, and I should make a note here because this is a big issue in marketing universities. If students are customers, and they are. So, for customer satisfaction, give them all the grades they want, make them pass all the exams, and thank you. For this, I've written a paper called, In Higher Education, the Customer is Always Right. But who is the customer and when is always and what is right? So facilities, qualified professors, nice campus, good treatment, easy procedures, customer satisfaction. Academic standards, academic assessment, customer well-being, even if they are not that happy. Even if they are not that happy. I always say when I do research in student evaluation, as a dean or a vice dean or a head of department, I would be very worried if I got a professor who got a student evaluation 1 out of 5. This is normal. But also I got very worried if the professor got 5 out of 5. This is not normal. The student should be that happy with me because I'm like a father who's raising him. I was not so happy with my father while he was raising me. Later on, I really valued what he was doing. I really understood what he was doing. But at that time, I was not that happy. So this is the research proposal. The proposal aims to present, of course, you understand that. So I'm going to go through very quickly. The research gap, the question. All the research efforts of others, the literature review. Suggest a methodology for answering the questions. This is very important, whether you are doing it professionally, academically, whatever. The research proposal, you should look at the research proposal from the sponsor's point of view, not from your own. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. Look at the proposal from the sponsor's perspective. The sponsor, when they review, and by the way, they give you a detailed description of how they assess your proposal before you write it. So they look at the sincerity of the researcher purpose. They really want to achieve that purpose, not just to get the grant and the money. The clarity of the research design, how clear and easily understood. Keep it simple. Actually, as the Americans say, keep it simple and stupid. Anyone can understand it, okay? Oh, okay. Is it me? Okay. I'm not in control yet. Okay. Can I do it now? Yeah, great. So it allows the sponsor to assess the sincerity of the research. Don't give the sponsors the impression that you are just want the grant. No, you are a researcher with a specific agenda that you really want to achieve. The clarity of design, make it easy to understand. Don't use too much jargon. The relevance of background and fitness for successful completion. My background, my CV, and all of the team. And by the way, each time you finish, and this is a very important clue, each time you finish and complete a research project with an important grant body as an individual or an institution, this gives you great credit for getting another, not only from the same sponsor, from all sponsors. So when I say I got a successful Fulbright grant, this got the Erasmus, which is the European Union, to give me one. And when I got that, the SACIDA, the Canadian International Development, said, oh, you completed successfully a research project with the Fulbright and the Erasmus. So you are in a good position to get a project from us. It's like building up your CV. Each time you finish a successful project, a project successfully. And when I say successfully, 3 things. Time, on time. Budget, this is very important. And whatever indicator, either successful publications or certain economic indicators. This is your CV, your history of successful project completion is very important. And God forbid, the other way is very, very destructive. If you got a project and you couldn't complete it, this is a very bad signal. A research proposal aids the researcher to survive and to grow and to check on her logic, capabilities, and feasibility for undertaking the research project. Here I have to come to a very important point, actually. And this faces us because we are overloaded with teaching things and administration. You have to read every day. This is okay. and you have to write every day. When you put, of course, it doesn't have to use your pen and paper. You can use digital technology as well. But when you write, things that I say only becomes clear in my mind when I start sitting down and writing them. Write. I don't go anywhere without this pen and this note. And actually, I bought this Samsung phone because of this. It's very important to put your thoughts and your ideas in writing. It gives you a great chance to review them, to check on the logic, and to develop your research project. Your research proposal doesn't only help the sponsor or the grant body, it helps you to have an action plan that you ensure that you're going. That's why I'm very careful when I'm writing a proposal. Though it's only 15 or 20 pages, it takes lots of thinking to make sure that everything I say can be actually delivered on time. We have so many kinds of proposals. This is very important slide. We have internal proposals. You have funding opportunities inside the university, all right, or inside the total universities bodies in Rwanda. And you have external proposals from international bodies or even from national bodies or regional bodies. You have professional. As a university, you should work as an expert house for the state and for the industry. This is very important. By the way, the Advanced Marketing Research Center, thanks God, is bringing in lots of money. 50% of that is coming from what we call the state or the government or the public sector. They are now yelling for marketing help. The professor was talking about profit. We used to think that profit is something only for the private sector. This is not true. Profit is also required for even non-profit organization. They are not supposed to make profit to give to owners, but they are supposed to make profit to reinvest and improve the quality of their services. So the healthcare need to be profitable. The higher education, the non-profit higher education needs to be profitable, not because there's any owners who are getting the money, but to be reinvested in the state. Governments cannot support you enough anyway. You have to make your own money, and the money that you earn is not like the money that you get. So professionals, you should be able to provide. You are all business, wonderful business people. You have expertise that the state and the industry needs. And you have, for example, very successful tourism industry. You have very successful manufacturing industries. And they need very much your help, not only because they have problems, they have lots of opportunities as well. And of course, academic proposal like the ones I told you, the Fulbright, the grant. Solicited versus unsolicited proposal. Sometime somebody will come to you and say, I need a proposal from you. By the way, nobody gives you free business anymore. But sometimes if they are interested in you, they ask you to submit a proposal which is going to gain the approval of the board or whatever authorities they have. And most proposals are unsolicited. They make an advertisement to have so much grants, like the National Science Foundation, the Erasmus, the Fulbright, for example, in Egypt, the Ministry of Higher Education has got what it calls STDF, Science and Technology Development Funding. Dual versus third-party proposals. Sometimes the lay Adventist University would ask the business school to submit a proposal to serve the tourism authority of the country or a specific company that came forward to the university. This is a third party. So the sponsor is not the beneficiary. The sponsor is the USAID, for example. This is a proposal we did. But the beneficiary company, the third, was the Egyptian telecommunication company. The same happened with Saudi Arabia, where we were asked by the Ministry of Telecommunication to do a marketing proposal for the Saudi telecom company. So the beneficiary might be different from the sponsor. And here, when you are writing, you have then to take care of the requirements of the sponsor and the requirements of the beneficiary. Because then what we say in marketing, the customer of my customer is my customer. So the beneficiary company is the client of the sponsor, and I'm providing or trying to help both of them. Large scale versus a small scale proposal. I don't have a clear definition for this, but some proposals are for 50,000 or $10,000, $20,000, and some of them can amount to $1 million. The methodology is the same, but of course the commitment, the capacity, and the magnitude and the number of research team is very important. Local versus global proposal, of course, there are national proposal and the proposal by international bodies. And actually, this is one of the benefits. If you are doing a proposal for grant by the British Council or by the USAID, they ask you to bring in a British partner, and this is a very important part of what Professor Anthony and all the management team here is doing. You have to be familiar on how to get a good British partner or a good American partner. And good has got a specific definition. Good doesn't mean to be Harvard or London School of Business. It has to be a respectable, hungry partner. Somebody who is on equal foot, would like to create a win-win situation with you. Like I know you are here doing, this is how I selected Georgia State, for example. Georgia State is not the best, but it's still a very good American university. And they were so hungry to cooperate internationally with us. This is very important. You don't beg. You don't urge any partner. This is not healthy. You have to have a hungry partner who is as much as hungry as you are to cooperate internationally. Exploratory versus conclusive proposal. Sometimes all is needed is to do what we call a diagnostic study. They don't want any solutions from you. They want, like we go to the X-ray. They want just to know what the problem is or what the opportunity is. And sometimes, of course, they want conclusive proposals that end up with solutions. Of course, these are very different scales also and purposes of proposals. What are the main proposal contents? The executive summary, if I may say from experience, is the most important one. Though it's one page, but sometimes it's the only page that got read. If you can catch their interest, they would go through the details. So it's an informative abstract giving the sponsors, executives, the chance to grasp the essentials of the proposal without having to read it. So this is what I want to do, and this are the major deliverables, and this is going to be the achieved objectives. It should emphasize the research problem, the questions, the methodology very briefly to give them the impression that you are an expert in the methodology for this, you are all over it, and the expected deliverables. Of course, the problem statements, you are an expert in this. It explains just as you're teaching your students through the literature reviews, the analysis of secondary data, and the qualitative research, what is the research gap that need to be bridged. The research objectives, let me just say, and I guess you know that, it has to be what we call SMART objectives. It has to be very specific, very measurable. People would like to hear numbers here. Numbers and time. So many publications is going to come out of this. So much money you're going to achieve. So much market share you're going to achieve. Very specific objectives. They have to be specific, measurable, timed, attainable, and realistic. This is very important. We don't like to hear objectives of the kind of posting the brand of the university or improving the morale of employees or improving the image of the organization. This is not measurable. How can I measure? And this is not right for you. If I gave you a grant for such a loose, poorly defined objective, you were talking about yesterday, Dean Christine and the Professor Anthony was talking about to students about the definition of the problem. A well-defined problem, I don't say a half-solve problem, it's a solve problem. Treatment is very easy. Solutions are very easy if I knew the problem. This is why we work mainly on the diagnosis rather than the solutions. The solutions are very straightforward if I knew the problem. Of course, the literature review, I'm not going through this. You are an expert in this. exploratory evidence also. You are an expert, you're teaching your students this. Um, the importance of research is very important. I wouldn't say I have a project for marketing and the branding of lay Adventist University of Kigali. Why is it important? Because everyone is branding and marketing their universities. This is not a good reason. This is not a good importance. It's important because the higher education is becoming global. You have to maintain the same standards wherever you are. And it's a highly competitive industry. And the customer are changing in their profiles, in their needs, in their buying behaviors, in their customer values, and there are lots of important scientific processes that's happening in that area. So if we would like to take the university forward and the Rwandan economy forward, we have to do this and this and that. Something that has not been done is not a good enough reason for importance. Something that has been done here but not in America, or in Europe but not in Asia, this is not a reason for importance. Importance comes from the fact that important things that we know, that we don't know, and we need to know. Let me stop here and tell you something. If you'd like to get publications in top journals in Scopus and Web of Science, and you can look at my profile in Google Scholar and you'll find this, 90% of my publications are based on Egyptian or Arabic evidence. Very few of them are based on American or European evidence and published in top journals. You have to use the Rwandan evidence either to answer highly important global research questions or even to pose new global questions. For example, if I'm looking at doing a research grant for supporting the tourism industry in Rwanda, a very important part of the tourism research in general is how people choose destinations, the destination management, and the impact of different parties, the influencers, the decision makers, the sponsors. For example, we are finding out increasingly that children play a very important role in choosing tourism destination, even for adults. This is a global question. If you can provide evidence from Rwanda that gives different answer to that question, oh my God. Marketing of universities, if you can use the Adventist University to provide a different answer of how students choose universities and how they build the customer values or how they brand universities, this is a totally new answer to an existing question. Or you can impose new questions. For example, your university was established by, as I understand, a federation of parents. This is not very usual. This is a new question. Can parents play an important role in founding universities after, for example, national? This is a new question. But this is interesting only for Rwanda. No, this is interested for everybody. That's what we call localization of science. Is either using the local evidence or national evidence to provide new answers to existing global questions, important global questions, or even better, posing global questions. The Chinese have been excellent in doing this. The Europeans have been excellent in doing this. For example, I had the honor of writing a chapter in a very famous book, Marketing Research, or the most famous one by Naresh Malhotra, and we got to know each other. So he asked me a few years ago, not 2017, but was published, to provide a chapter because he was coming up with global edition. Global edition means cases and perspectives from different countries, different parts of the world. Nobody would like to read an American textbook anymore, or a European textbook anymore, or an Egyptian textbook anymore. Would like to read a global because when you're talking about tourism or exports or imports, you are dealing with every country in the world. In one aeroplane, you have all nationalities, and you have to be able as an airline to serve all of them equally. and satisfactorily. So the research importance is very, very important part of the thing. Of course, you know that you have to cover the research design, the sampling, the measurement issues, the data collection, data preparation, data and interpretation, reporting methods. The only thing I would like to say and assure here that there is no difference as far as this concerned between professional and academic. Even professional. Yeah, when I do a proposal like this for companies usually are not interested in this part. They said, okay, I'm not writing this for you. I'm writing this for the future. If you'd like to evaluate what I did or replicate what I did, this is very important for any consultant. It's like the prescription that we have with the medication. We don't care about it. It's not for us. It's for the doctors and the pharmacists to be able to keep serving our best interest. Very important. And let me tell you this, how generally they assess proposals. Qualifications of researcher, budget plan of the research, time plan, facilities and special resources, project management issues, bibliography and appendixes. I would like to talk about the first two items because they are the most. Lay Advent, there is a grant by the British Council, and Lay Adventist University has submitted a proposal of how to use tourism to have a competitive global advantage. And another university, XYZ, has applied for the same grant. How do we evaluate? And I work also in the evaluation. How do you evaluate them? Two things separately. First, I evaluate the technical quality of the proposal, the topics, the research methodologies, the literature reviews, exploratory work, and give you a mark of 100. So you got 80 out of this. And then I look at the budget. So you asked for $5 million or 2 million sterling pounds to do this. And I've asked only for 1 million. Yet, before, the guy with the 1 million would get the grant. You could get the grant with the 2 million. Because when I relate that 2 million to the quality of your proposal, then you get it much higher. They call it unit/cost. So you get 90 in the technical, and you're asking for 2 million. So 2 million by 90 is much better than 1 million by 30%. All right? This depends very much on the qualifications of the researchers. This is the main thing they look at. And of course, the qualification of researchers naturally has been reflected in the quality of the proposal because it's the researchers who has written the proposal. So the technical thing is not only the money, the amount of money. I have seen so many proposals turn it down, though they ask for very little money. But also the quality is very poor. No sponsor is willing to accept that anymore. Because also the sponsoring body are held accountable to their legal owners. So they have to make sure that they provided not only budget. Budget is very important, but as much as it reflects the quality. I call myself one of the most expensive consultants in Egypt. But I'm not expensive. I provide unique value for money. So I say to somebody, they want a feasibility study, I'll do that for 100,000 Egyptian pounds. He said, but this is too expensive. I said, yes, you are right. I can tell you about people who can do it much cheaper. But you will never get that level of quality. And vice versa. I can tell you about other bodies who can provide this level of quality, but not for that amount of money. You can go to AC Nelson. They will do the same job, but for $1 million. Because they are a very famous brand name. They are not thieves. They are getting, I am the one who's providing the same quality. And actually, most likely AC Nelson will subcontract me to do it. And they will give me my bloody 100,000 pounds and they get the rest for their brand name. So you have to provide a unique value for money proposition. Nobody will be able to get that value for that money. It doesn't have to be too much money or too little money, but the value for sure has got to be very unique. Usually, sponsors would evaluate for grant purposes the comprehensiveness. You cover all the aspects of what you're claiming you're trying to do, the relevance among the different parts and the different consultants or researchers, the verifiability, the integrity, and the transparency of evidence that you're going to have, and the documentation for replicability purposes. The doability, will be able to finish it on time. The economy, the money that you're getting compared to the value that you're producing. Of course, your time sensitivity. The novelty is very important. You have to come up with really new questions. The global perspective, you are not looking at that with very narrow-minded nationality or chauvinism of a certain discipline. And of course, you're looking at the future. We're studying the past and the present, but we are future-oriented. If something wrong has happened in the past, we don't want it to happen again. Something right has happened, we want it to happen very quickly and very intensively. You're talking about the future. For the future, the following trends are overriding. The role of information technology, social media, digital technology, artificial intelligence, you name it. Globalization, people would like to see lots of things with global impact on Rwanda and with Rwandan impact worldwide. You are influenced by the world, but also Rwanda is a very important country to the world. Deregulation, looking at things from a competitive point of view. Pluralistic methodologies combining qualitative and quantitative, not purely qualitative, not purely quantitative. Qualitative provide depth, as you know, and the quantitative provide breadth. They would like to see depth with breadth. They are both important. Multitude of users. The more benefit that this will provide to policymakers, to customers, to stakeholders, to suppliers, to distributors, to accounting firms, this will be great. Big science, big projects are much more favorable, not small projects. They want big projects with great spillover effect to so many disciplines. Sponsored science, this is what we said, you have to earn the money you get. Nobody will give you free money anymore. And pragmatic science, very much, as the professor was saying, down to community service and specific solutions. Usually, you have to make an oral presentation, an oral defense of your proposal. This has happened with me all through. Of course, you are an expert in this, but let me share just some of things. Be concise and specific. Prove genuine need to visit US or to work with Europe or to work, prove that you genuinely need this. Highlight relevance and benefits of your research to your country and to the world. Use technical and sophisticated language when appropriate. Don't use it all the time. Don't oversell or don't undersell. So you don't say this is the most important research project in the world, but yet don't be defensive and say, yeah, I know this is not that important. No. Please sell properly. So say, this is an important, it's going to bridge an important research gap, and it's important in collaboration or alongside other important research projects. There is no room for dogma or ideology. There is no socialist, capitalist, nationalist, religiousist, whatever you would like. No place for dogma or ideology. No, this is not acceptable anymore. Use simple yet sound English or whatever language, but mostly it's English. Don't feel offended by any questions with a critical or inquisitive tone. It is just a part of the game, like the defense of a PhD or a Master of Science. They will ask lots of critical questions. They don't mean to be offensive or anything. They just want to make sure that you have the confidence and the ability to address all controversial issues. You have to be very realistic about time and the facilities. Don't say, I'm going to finish this in a record time. This is not good. This is not helpful. What's helpful? Realistically, and sometimes 3 months is too long. I'm so sorry, I can't do it in less time because it's very sensitive. You have to give me time if you want me to be accurate or to be comprehensive. Of course, not endless time, but you have to be very realistic about the time and the facilities. Of course, use eye contact and the body language whenever useful. Don't overdo it. Sense of humor can be helpful if not overdosed. You can use 1 or 2 jokes. And feel free also to ask questions. Don't shy away from asking important questions to grant bodies about their expectations and their ability to provide certain things. I guess this is all. I hope I have been useful in some way, and I would love and thank you for your patience and time. And if you have any questions, and if I have the answers, I will be glad to share with you. It doesn't have to be questions. It could be comments, criticism, jokes.
Hello, good morning, everyone. Thank you for this opportunity, Professor. At a writer note, I expected you to come with Kajuri from Alexandra. Next time you have a chance to present us with that. Now, we're looking at research methods also. We're looking at research methods also, based on the various types of researches that we have. For example, my question is very direct. I come from the IT field, and mostly our researches are technologically based. When you mention things like factors to consider, like global development and the various tools to use in mind with technology advancement that is so fast every day, with artificial intelligence, for example, with social media that changes every day. Some times ago, Facebook was very common. Nowadays, people are using WhatsApp. WhatsApp is almost going down the drain. We're using GitHub and Chat GPT. What would you advise for a person who is trying to do a research in this kind of a direction?
Well, I have, my major was marketing research, and my minor was business information system, because I thought that the content of marketing research is information. Let me tell you about what I think. I've written a paper on the diffusion of internet marketing, which now we call digital marketing. I think the following. Let me give you a very, of course, I strongly agree with you. The base of change and development and the progress, especially in the area of IT, is unbelievable and inconceivable. Let me use one of those very advancing areas, the artificial intelligence. We have so many applications in the artificial intelligence, neurological systems, for example, expert systems, fuzzy logic, and other things. We had a business agenda. We always had this agenda. This is my view. But the new IT that's progressing all the time has achieved our agenda at unprecedented scale. We never thought that we can be that fast, that accurate, of that size. We never anticipated, as someone who has witnessed the very early area of computers. I'm not of the Z generation. I used the mobile when I was 33 years old. And I can hardly remember my life before the mobile now. And this is not just a mobile, this is my everything. So, for example, I said that the IT, we always had the following agenda. We wanted to be differentiated, we wanted to be focused, we wanted to be global, we wanted to be profitable, and we wanted to be customized. We always wanted to be that, centuries ago. But the internet, the social media, the artificial intelligence has helped us to achieve unbelievable. Look only at Amazon.com, for example. Amazon. Try to imagine, it's not possible, but try to imagine if Amazon would like to exist physically, selling things, all these things, 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. It's impossible. But the ability of achieving an unbelievable ROI. This is why Jeff Bezos was one. Jeff Bezos, Mark Zuckerberg in the Facebook, Bill Gates in Microsoft, they are not great scientists of IT. They found important business value of IT. That's why they're providing it for free. When the merchandise is free, we are the merchandise. They want us. That's why they're not getting you to pay. My advice is to focus on the agenda and how far the IT can achieve this agenda. Let me give you an example again of the artificial intelligence. From my point of view, the artificial intelligence is trying to combine the wonderful digital capabilities of the computer, of the IT, in terms of speed, accuracy, and magnitude, ability to deal with very huge amount of data at the same time, simultaneously, with the wonderful human creativity and adaptability. That's what we call smart technology. For example, because I'm working in the area of neurological marketing research, we are trying to imitate the biological mind. We were only able to imitate 1 out of 100,000 of the biological mind. Yet we achieved a lot with that. Having said that, the AI applications in the area of marketing with which I'm familiar is highly experimental. Some of them turned out to be great breakthroughs with lots of profits, and some of them turned out to be terrible losses and terrible failures. It's a high risk, high return thing. But it's worth pursuing because high risk, high return, when you achieve even one success out of 300 or 400 failures, you have covered all the cost of those failures. So again, we should not be so much infatuated or blindly impressed with the technology, and yet we should be able to devise this technology and manipulate it to achieve our agenda. So when I think of the social media, when I think now of the social media, for example, let me give you just this example. The social media and marketing is of great promise because the spillover effect now is great. Everybody can see you on the YouTube, on the Facebook, on Twitter, on TikTok, on Instagram. But for the first time, and this is a real challenge, you are not in control of the content. In marketing, we used to be in control of the content. I know my product, my price, my promotion, my distribution. This is not the case anymore. I have a Facebook, and anyone can get in and say anything. I'm not in control of the content. And if the content is negative, I'm destroyed. So again, we have to be very much aware of the advantages, pros and cons, and pitfalls of the technology. The technology is not a choice. It's not an option. It's an action. We have to take it. The more you have a clear agenda, a realistic agenda to achieve with this technology, now, so for example, I'm looking for differentiation. First, it was the homepage of the website. Now, it's becoming the Twitter. I was not joking. I was talking to Professor Anthony, and I only had a Twitter account when you asked me to join the university. I learned how to have a Twitter account. It's very exciting for me now. I adopted 2 months ago. When we were talking to students about the best way to promote the university, they said that, as you said, the Facebook, oh, you're too much old-fashioned. We use the Instagram and the TikTok, and God knows what they're going to use next year. The average product life cycle of IT now is down to 6 months or so. You have that mobile 1 year ago, and they were, oh, and now, oh, do you still have this? Okay, so it's progressing. But if you are in control, manipulating it to achieve your agenda, you will always be ahead of the technology. Your judgment and your inertia as a human being should be able to manipulate the technology. Don't let the technology manipulate you. Those who made money and made success out of it, like Jeff Bezos, like Bill Gates, are those who manipulated the technology, manipulated Windows, manipulated the Facebook technology, manipulated the Amazon technology to achieve agenda of their own configuration. But if you went, wow, a new technology, let's follow what's no, this is not the right thing. The right thing is to be in control of the technology, just like your car. Cars have developed, but you've always used them to reach your destination quickly and safely. This is our main agenda out of any car. Okay? So this is my view. It's the question of what are you going to try to achieve with the technology, whatever. Of course, it's keep progressing. And with progress, just like cars, now people die of accidents, but people would have died without cars due to other different accidents using horses and other things. So we should always have the mentality of managing the technology, management of information systems, not letting the information technology manage us. And by the way, this needs lots of business research. It needs research to be able to do that. Yes, please.
So we have to stand up so that maybe the camera, which is disseminating the information on YouTube, can be seen. Thank you very much, dear Professor. My question is about just a mentorship as a more senior professor. In our introduction, we have said that no quality research, there is no quality education, there is no quality service community, and there is even no economy. Especially for our country, we are focusing on the economy, which is based on the knowledge-based economy, which means that the country is more focusing now on us, we, a custodian of knowledge, researchers, so that the economy, even micro and macro, from personal level to the global country. Coming also to the statement you have mentioned that without proposal, without proposal, we cannot get grant. That is the second variable. The third one, looking at our huge workload of teaching, learning, and assessment. So from your experience and from your seniority, how can you mentor us? How can you help us to know how we can manage this situation so that you cannot remain remain in this situation of, say, just I'm a teacher, just if I get something to talk in front of my students, then I'm done. And in that case, I will not provide quality education, I will not be a very good community servant, I will not contribute to my personal economy, to the country economy, and even rating that grant, because we have seen that grant is something that you can do regardless from any challenges that are interfering with what we are doing. So I hope gone through a long journey in this process up to your level as you have been getting your inspiration. Maybe you can help us on how we can go through and how we can just fight against challenges. Thank you.
Thank you very much. When you talk about my seniority, you make me feel very old. But anyway, I have 2 grandsons also, but I'm not that old. My engine is still charging. All right. Now speaking seriously, I have been shadowing, looking at experiences of different countries. I have been lucky to be able to do that. So I've been watching closely, for example, the experience of creating a knowledge society in China, in Japan, in Malaysia, in Indonesia, in South Africa, in Europe, of course, and in America. But I love more the developing countries models because these are the models that are more relevant to us. And my answer is very simple. Let me say first that what a knowledge economy is. A knowledge economy is where the major value, and I've seen this in Finland, for example. Finland is a country without any resources. They are very cold country. They have only forests. They don't have really any. The same goes for Japan. But let me talk about Finland because I was very close to that. This is an innovation-based economy, economy based on the ideas of people. And this is the right thing, not the raw materials anymore, not the manufacturing, the raw manufacturing is deciding on knowledge. For example, they're saying to me, we have other centers which belong to the engineering school and belong to the dental school. And say, well, you are the most profitable. Yes, because actually, when I'm doing marketing research, the cost is very small. The cost probably is the cost of data collection if you need it. But the major input is here. The major money I pay is pay for consultants with certain mindsets. So the knowledge-based economy means that I have to have 4 levels of knowledge. Dictionary knowledge, understanding what things mean. So when I say inflation, tourism industry, what are the real concepts of this? And then descriptive knowledge, knowledge of what is really going on. And then evaluative knowledge, what is right and what's wrong and what's going on. And then normative knowledge, what should happen, the solutions. In order to do this at the university level, you have to have a simple document called research plan. Research plan, and I can give you a presentation. I can pass you a presentation on this or do it in a later time. Simply say, who are our stakeholders to be good teaching, to provide good community service for students, for parents, for research sponsors, for the state, for the Rwandan state, for the Rwandan economy. Those are our stakeholders. Those stakeholders will provide us with this research agenda, so we have to look at this research agenda. What are the resources we have, the members of staff, the technologies, the facilities that we want, the budgets, the grants that we need to propose for, and what are the tangible deliverables that we're going to get out of this in terms of research productivity, of research quality, of research profitability and the money, and of being advisor to important bodies. This is what we call the research plan. It should be done and reviewed every now and then, every year. Should be for a 5-year plan. It also will encourage our researchers who are doing their masters and their PhDs either here in the university or you send for a scholarship to work on certain areas. This way you guarantee that research will work for all your purposes, for education, for community service, for economy, for branding of the university. This is very important to be famous as a research-led university. So the research plan is not a piece of paper, it's not a document that you go proud of and say, I have a research plan. No, the important thing is the implementation of the plan. It's very easy to put a very glittering and glamorous research plan that will never come down to earth. No, I prefer a realistic research plan and an ambitious one. And I always say the danger is not, this is a very important thing to say now at this stage where you said we have been successful, you have gone through difficult times, and after 25 years, we are at crossroads, we are standing, looking around and trying to get expertise from all different parts of the world to see how we should move forward. The danger is not to shoot high and miss it, but to shoot low and reach it. You can have very ambitious goals. Even if you have achieved 30 or 40 or 50%, this is fine. But if you said, no, I wouldn't be able to do that, I wouldn't be able to do that, I wouldn't be able to do that, then you stay. And people around you are running. People, universities and countries, they are not silent. Everybody is very much alert to competition and alert to need to upgrade. So we are not alone. So the more you are moving, the more you're creating the pace, you're becoming a role model, this will be great. Of course, I wouldn't be able to achieve my full agenda. This is normal. No country in the world, no university in the world will achieve 100% of its agenda. But the more the agenda is progressive and high-looking, for example, I said to Professor Anthony, actually, I was amazed not only by his email, actually by his position, head of partnerships. This is a very advanced, very few universities in the world would have something like that, would do something like the one you're doing now. This is very important that you shoot high and even if you achieve 70%, been somewhere. You're working, you're moving forward. As President Clinton was saying, and this is again very important, if you can't fly, then run. If you can't run, please walk. If you can't walk, thump. The most important thing is to keep moving forward. I should not be doing today what I have done yesterday just because it was successful. Even if it's successful. Yeah, it's not going to be successful in the very near future because others are doing better things. We are not the only university in the world who are thinking like that. There are so many places, and we want a clear place under the sun. In order to do that, you have to come up with a realistic research plan, and not only this. For example, in big American universities, what they do, you are recruited as a professor. They ask you, what is your prime concern? What is your prime area? I say research. Okay, well, you are supposed to publish 4 major papers in highly impact journals because you are a good researcher. You have a good research record. Or your contract is terminated automatically. Nobody will fire you. Your contract is terminated automatically. And we'll ask you, you're not going to teach much. You're going to teach only 1 course, but we're going to ask you to put the important impact of this research into education in that course and to provide it into community service. I have seen this with Professor Coomer. He's a very famous marketing professor, was hired by Georgia State University, and actually his salary was double the salary of the president of the university. But they asked him that, you will teach only 1 course, but please try to translate this very advanced marketing knowledge that you're producing in your research into the course and into community solutions. So for example, he came up with a branding plan with Coca-Cola Company, which is the headquarters are in Atlanta, Georgia, for $5 million. So, or you say, no, I'm an excellent teacher, okay, we'll give you a back-breaking teaching load, 4 courses, for example, a semester, and student evaluation stands as the only benchmark. And yet, you have to commit yourself to the important research deliverables of your active researcher. Or you say, I'm a community service guy. Wonderful. I have seen a professor like that. His name was Craig Ruff. He was a professor of finance. But he was in the dean's office, and simply the dean would say, Professor Craig, how much money you're going to get us? $3 million, sir. In sponsorships, in funding, this is his area of expertise. So this is mainly the yardstick against which his performance is granted. So they have excellent researchers, excellent teachers, excellent community service experts together. So I don't mind that somebody would say, I'm much more interested in research than teaching. Then we'll give you a mandate for research that feeds into education and community service. We'll give you a more load of education that's relying more on research. We'll give you a greater load of community service that's relying on education and research. This is called in sustainable development thinking as social innovation. This is social innovation. So it's very important, but to bring things down to earth, you have to do a research plan, a realistic research plan for the school, for the faculty, for each faculty. But of course, it has to come up from the university level, translating the vision and the mission into a research plan. And it's very important what you're saying, Professor, that it has to be tied to the national interests of the country. And this is not against science. Actually, this is science. Science that's not practically implemented to the best welfare and interests of the people is not science, from my point of view. Science, I don't believe in science for science and art for art. Some people believe in this. No, I believe in science for humanity, science for the welfare of people, science for the economic prosperity, and vice versa. Science, if you achieve those things, people will believe in science and support it. We always complain that people are not interested in scientists, that people are more interested in singers and actors. Yes, because singers and actors and entertainers were able to prove that they are useful for the people. We were not able to prove the same thing. If we're able to prove that we are equally useful to the welfare and the well-being of people, they would have appreciated us more. So it's our job to preach to them our importance and our relevance to their lives. I, I remember always this, the joke with my wife. I'm interested in marketing research, and also I'm interested in highly philosophical things. So I relate it to philosophy, I relate it to biology. I have lots of research on Darwinism applications, Socratic applications, and even abstraction of Leonardo da Vinci, the famous artist. And my wife was thinking of me as a crazy person. Not only my wife, of course, and my colleagues as well. And then when I started making money out of this, he said, okay, probably you're right. As long, I don't understand what you're doing, but as long as it's bringing values, that's fine. But actually one of my very dear colleagues asked me, well, do you have a schizophrenia? You have split personalities? Because in your research, in your academic research, you are very philosophical. Yet you are the most successful consultant out of us. I said, they are not two separate hats that I'm wearing. It is the same hat. When you are very philosophical and scientific, this brings value. And this got me to do one of my very important research that I got published in a highly impact journal, the impact of logic of marketing research, the very scientific logic of Socrates on marketing ROI, return on investment, which is a very practical thing. And I proved through some marketing feasibility studies that I've done for real estate development companies that I have applied the Socratic logic in them, and this has improved their ROI. Of course, I didn't say to the real estate development companies that I'm applying Socratic logic, or they would have thrown me out of the window. But I did it, I didn't say it, and it worked out. So best science for best practice. We don't have to say to people, we are now to use this theory of philosophy. But believe me, by my experience, by my very practical experience, it works out perfectly. And by the way, it works better in Rwanda and in Egypt than it works in Germany or US. Because in Germany, US, they are already best practice. There is very little to contribute to this. But here, when you are contributing good scientific solutions, it makes a huge difference, a quantum leap in the performance of the state and the private sector all of a sudden, and gives the economy a huge push. You are very inspiring. Thank you. Yes, please.
Thank you very much. My name is Dr. Martin. Thank you very much. My name is Dr. Martin. I would like to ask Professor the question relating to successful stories of any project you have done and challenges and how you have handled such challenges. Thank you very much.
For a more recent one. Yes, this is a good example. We are having new projects in Egypt, which is the electrical train and the monorail. They are done, of course, by the government with aid from different European and Asian bodies. And at the start, as usual, you know the military mindset. They thought that having a train means having all the vans and the rails and the stations. And all of a sudden they found that they wouldn't be able to support it economically, because simply if you would like to support it economically through the ticket prices, this means that the ticket price is going to be astronomical. Nobody would be able to afford it. And this is not what you want, because such means of transportations are very important to reduce pollution and to discourage people from using their own automobiles. And actually, they are meant not for the upper market segment, for the upper people with the upper income. It's meant for the middle income and the lower income. So they said how people manage this. They looked, for example, at the British experience of privatization of the rail services. Of course, you cannot privatize, you cannot sell the vans and the stations, but you can subcontract them. You can outsource them to specialized companies. They had to come to a marketing person like me, and we wanted to do a marketing plan. We are working on it now. A marketing plan for the new train and the new monorail. The challenge in this is that this concept is totally new to the people working in the rail authorities, to the passengers, even to companies whom are asking to sponsor or to make an investment. You're talking about sponsoring services inside the train, on the station, and on the neighborhood around the station. These are not concepts that were there in the Egyptian culture. And I consider this one of the most important challenges or challenging kind of projects, where you have to do things right, but at the same time, you have to do some sort of what I call customer education, changes the culture of the people. This is very difficult. It's very easy to switch on and off this data show. It's very easy to change the logistics, but it's very difficult to change the attitudes of people that have been around for a very long time. And by the way, this is a major part of universities' work. Universities work for important and positive cultural change. When you are asking for a liberal economy, for a growing economy, the most important is changing people's mindsets and changing their attitudes. It's very easy to equip people with skills, new skills. Teach them how to collect, for example. And with new knowledge, they don't know how to use the statistical analysis software. It's very easy to teach SPSS or AMOS to them. But to change their attitude, this is very difficult. And the project with change of attitude are usually the most difficult ones, because an important part of the project budget and the project work and the activities and even the selection of consultants, you must select people who are able to do this, and there are not so many of those. You have to select people who are able to do that kind of change. Research is usually a change catalyst. You have to change what people think, and this is usually a very challenging, especially if the sponsor is government, who is usually is very keen for quick and tangible results. And they are politicians, so they have special sensitivities when it comes to changing cultures and making people think differently. Sometimes you also, actually, most of the time, you have to change their cultures too as ministers, and it's not easy to do that, but you must do so. That projects with need for lots of change, especially in culture and attitudes, are usually the most challenging ones. And this is very much needed, especially in all developing countries.
Thank you very much, Professor, for your good presentation. As a specialist in marketing, I think you know very well how you can have good product or services, but if they are not known, if the information is not spread, they will remain in the company. So here in the university, we may have good projects, good research, but if we don't know where to knock, if you don't have information, we will remain with them here at university. So we would like, as lecturers of this university, especially the university, you have a collaboration with you. We would like to request you to help us to know where to knock, because I think you have more information about it, and especially those generous sponsors. Thank you very much.
Very good question. And The answer is highly dynamic and changing, but let's agree on what you said. We need information. I guess you have a research department here. I have been working in a university as a founding dean of the business school called Heliopolis University for Sustainable Development. It started at 2012, and the main revenue of the university was research grants, not education, not fees from students. They had a research department. It was the first time that I go through such exercise. That research departments do three things. It spots funding opportunities for you. They go through the internet, all the announcements nationally and internationally. And then they have the research profiles of different stuff. So there is a good opportunity for funding by the Fulbright for a marketing project. Okay? So they will go to you, say, doctor, there is a very good opportunity for this. And they help you with what I have just been explaining, with the proposal management. Of course, you are the expert. They are not the expert. But they help you with doing a winning proposal in form and essence in order to get this grant. And after getting the grant, they manage and support you to make sure that you complete on time and within the budget, so we have a good CV for the university and for your kind self. So actually, an effective research department inside the university should really concentrate on this, on looking for, and there are so many of those actually, but looking for those that you have a higher possibility of success if you apply to, and also helping you with the proposal stage, and then helping you with the implementation stage. Having said that, I will not wait for my institution to do that. I'm very much a sponge. You know the sponge that digests water, air, everything. I used to, before any institution got interested in this, I used to do this for myself. I've read a lot. Now we have the internet, which is a great invention for getting to know this. I looked for all possible kinds of funding opportunities, and I take time to learn, and I ask others who are successful in getting such grants, how do they apply, how do they propose, and I do lots of shadowing for people who are institutions who win lots of proposals, because it's my prime interest. I said this to students, and let me say this: if you want this university, it's successful. If you want it to be optimally successful, love your job, not your company, because your company might stop loving you. I'm not saying this meaning that the university will tell me you are fired. It has never happened to me, at least. But I always aimed to be a good professor of marketing, or a good marketing academic in research, in community service, in education. So that if for whatever reasons the university would like to get rid of me, or I would like to get rid of them, I can easily find another job. So actually, a very important part of this is your ability to get research grants and to get research funding. This will always put you in a strong competitive position. Even I don't want you to leave the university. I want you to augment the university. I want the university to have staff who are stars anywhere. And then the university would be keen, just like you got me, would be keen to keep them and motivate them to stay in the university. This is the name of the game. I don't want academics who are outside the university. This is why, for example, I've seen you ask students to get a TOEFL or an IELTS. What's the difference between a TOEFL and IELTS or an English language test that might appear? Because they are international, well-recognized tests. So when I get a TOEFL or IELTS, it means that I'm not only valuable at my university, I can be valuable anywhere, which means I can create value. So you have to spend time, on this. And of course, they can support you, but you can always walk the extra mile. So look for things, and these things are so many, and are so many open, and you have to exercise your judgment on which is more relevant, where you have a competitive advantage in applying for this specific grant opportunity. And believe me, the good news, once you get one, it will be your game. And also you will be very well known. You will have the glory of doing this. So people would come to you and ask you actually for proposal with time. So it's a very challenging, and it takes lots of efforts, but it's very much worth it to do that. Especially marketing people who are marketing to sell yourself and to make good proposals. We are trained to do that. Okay? I hope this answers your question, but I do agree with you that information is very important. But let me again say this specifically. The university has a responsibility to help you with this information. Also, you can have your own information, which is a very good exercise, a very good learning experience, and later on a very good rewarding experience.
Thank you, Professor, for your good presentation. And really, you are a good professor, and you are teaching us as a good lecturer. So it is not a question. Maybe it is a curiosity for me. You are, of course, director of Advanced Marketing Research Center in this British University in Egypt. I have the chance to visit Cairo in 2004. Really, I don't know where is located your university, if it is recent or if it was implemented after 2004. Because I went there, I visited some universities, so I don't know. And my question is, my curiosity is this: how many grants did you won as a specialist in the domain in your university? If it is not a secret, please, how many grants did you won in your university? Grants you have achieved, you have, yes. Okay, thank you.
Fired, then it's a secret. But I don't like secrets. First, the British University in Egypt was in 2004, it got the presidential decree to establish the university. The university was inaugurated by Mr. Farid Khamis, who is the owner of the largest carpet manufacturing, and not only in Egypt, but in the Middle East and Africa. It's called the Oriental Waivers. He wanted to invest in higher education. So he first started with what we call a higher education institute, not a university, called the Shuruk Academy. The Shuruk is a city that he founded on the outskirts of Cairo, to the north of Cairo, to the northeast of Cairo. 4 years after the secondary education, and then he thought of establishing the British University. Why the British? Because at that time we had the American University in Cairo, the German University in Cairo. So Egyptians are firm believers in British education. So he established the British education. It was an agreement between the two governments, the government of Egypt, the government of UK, and actually it was inaugurated in 2006 by Prince Charles, now King Charles III, and it provides degrees, dual degrees with 3 different universities, Manchester Metropolitan, for different faculties, because there are 11 faculties, London South Bank, in which you are dealing with the business, and Queen Margaret University in Scotland. They hired me. I have been always a part of this because I was one of the think tanks that Mr. Farid Khamis appointed for thinking of the university and inaugurating it on paper first. And then I was what they call an expert member of the university board for years. But the first time I moved to be full-time, when Mr. Farid Khamis and his daughter took over, and she said that the university is not British enough and is managed like public universities. So they wanted to assert that this is what's written in the profile, the Britishness of standards and yet the Egyptian essence of education. So this is why actually I had the chance to go to other private universities. I was finished with all public posts, so I wanted to move to a private university when I have more freedom to pursue a dream of mine like AMRC. We have received the grants for AMRC from different bodies for different purposes. So for example, we got an exclusivity contract to do all the marketing feasibility study for the holding company, public holding company, public sector holding company for construction and real estate development. We got from the Ministry of Trade, Internal Trade and Supply, a contract for making a national brand equity indicator for Egypt and for supporting specifically a company that they are making for the manufacturing and distribution of gold, diamonds, gold, silver, diamond and emerald products, because we have so many new discoveries in this area in Egypt, explorations. We have got from the Ministry of Transportation this electrical and van training, and also we got branding contracts for other universities, other private universities, but provided that they are not universities competing with the British University. So because there are so many market segments, so many universities are not really competing with us. And also we provide marketing services to with the Faculty of Law. We're doing a branding plan for our Faculty of Law at the British University in Egypt. And we applied also to the Social Science, Technology and STDF, Science and Technology Development Fund by the Ministry of Higher Education. We started our operation, the formal decree for inaugurating the center was in July 2021, but we really started operations in January 2022 for finishing all the bureaucracy procedures. And there were 16 centers in the university before us, and none of them except the Nanotechnology Center ever. They were actually cost centers. We are a profit center. We have achieved so far, I don't know if this is a secret or not, but something we are proud of. We have achieved so far 12 million Egyptian pounds, which is quite a record. Actually, unprecedented record in the Egyptian. 12 million Egyptian pounds is around is around 60 million or 70 million Rwandan francs, if I'm right. Which is not, it's a very handsome amount of money, at least compared to them, but we are hoping for more. And the question actually is not money, or it's not only money. The soft power now, the British University, you can go proudly and say, we are the expert house for the real estate development market in Egypt. We are the expert house for the Ministry of Supply and Trade. We are the expert house for the transportation. We are supporting the state in its major projects. And this brings you more and more support from the state. So actually, yes, it's very much but here, you must be very careful because it's a real challenge. Every time study or a same of researchers is on time, because you will not succeed just by reputation. When I go to you, it's like a singer. Every time he sings or she sings must be like the first time, because there's a new audience, and yes, they know about your reputation. So this is raising the ceiling of their expectations from you. So you have to live up to that. So actually, it's a very much continuous challenge. Yeah. No, I'm committed to time, but I can't say no to questions, Professor Anthony. My boss is telling me to accelerate.
Yeah, I think we can join the hands for thanks to our professor. Thank you very much, Professor, for your very constructive presentation and the sharing of experience. I think this is very important, or is the conclusion and introduction is somehow similar. So without research, no quality education, no quality community service, yeah, no economy at personal level, even at a micro and macro economy. So this is very important, and I like that you have helped us on how to overcome the challenges. As I was asking the question, that is a burning question for all of us. I think it's the same in different universities. Yeah, it's a cross-cutting challenge, combining workload, combining responsibilities, combining and then research. So I heard something very important, that is having a research plan in our activity. Even though we have a lot of things, let us have a plan. Even if you cannot achieve something in 1 year, but let us have a plan. It can be even long-term plan, but slow by slow, we may achieve, sir. We can achieve something, but let us do not give up. Yeah, it's a collective work. Yes. Thank you very much. So I have learned something, and fortunately, there is a plan at a university level, and I would like to encourage once again we academic staff that at university level there is a plan, because there is a budget. Deans are aware. In our last year academic committee, we have been saying that there is a research budget allocated to each faculty. So whenever an idea comes, the deans will be sharing with us what people want to do, how they want to do it, and any kind of little facilitation, so that at least we can shift from the university retail support to get grant from our outside. But at the university level, there is a plan. Let us that plan be decentralized up to faculty level, up to department level, up to the individual level. Otherwise, we have in our country more than 30 universities, and our political orientation is knowledge-based economy, which means ubwo ni ibirombe 30 mu gihugu bya zahabu. This is a 30 store of goldens in the country, as long as our economy is supposed to base on knowledge. And we have more than 30 universities in the country, which means we have a 30 store of gold, because that is where economy, according to, if we try to analyze this. So please let us challenge ourselves and see how we can overcome the barriers that are challenging us. Together, we shall do something. The good idea we have learned that we should have a plan. Even me, I was not thinking how to overcome that. But from now, I'm going to make a plan. Even if it can take me how long it will take, but let me say, in 2 years, at least I will publish one paper. But if I say I don't have a time, I will never even publish that one. Let me say, in 1 year, I would have at least one paper. So that at least 1 hour, 30 minutes that I have, let me make just a little richer related to that plan I'm having. But slow by slow, we can do something. Otherwise, you can even find funding agencies when they come. What are you ready to do? Then I start to think, when the sponsor is car, let's have a plan, so that even if the funding is coming, find us already on the way. So thank you very much for this. And I would like to thank you all who have participated in this workshop. This is going to be continuous, as I told you that we have around 24 visiting professors. So they will be coming in different time, differently. So we thank you that you have been the first to come, but also others will be coming in different areas, having such kind of workshops. On a Saturday evening, Professor would have a seminar with master's students. The seminar will be focusing on marketing area. You know, marketing is part of business environment, and a business needs to be connected with outside the world, which means MBA students will have a seminar on Saturday evening with a professor. Then on Sunday, MBA students will have a workshop on research writing. So we thank you, dear professor, so that you see there is a huge work that is going to be done. And in September, we shall have another professor from South Africa who will be just having such kind of knowledge transfer and sharing of experience related to the law field. So we are going to continuously learning, so let us get ready. As long as we are together with a professor, so we shall be continuing to say thank you. Yeah. So thank you as we are continuing to work together. So we can say that our workshop is closed now. Is closed by thanking all of you participants, professor, and I appreciate your interactive exchange of ideas. So bear with me. We have the next exercise, which is going to take very short. We have an MOU with the London Institute of Skills Development. You have heard about it. Yeah, it's a very prestigious institute. So we have a very operational MOU with this institute, and the operations have already started. We have signed an MOU, and recently we have had, mostly they provide a very professional training online. Maybe you have seen, you have launched the flyers and the information so that whoever wants can join. And the university have provided some sponsorship to those who wanted, who were willing to attend the course. And the course was done by those who managed to register were from the course of procurement, logistics, and supply chain. So if you are here, please, you can stand up so that people can see you. So it's better that you can sit at that side. Please, you are graduates today. So you can sit on that side so that people can recognize that this is also your day. They have fulfilled all the requirements for this course. It was not easy. They did a lot of research. They did assignments, and they have managed to complete all the requirements of the course, which was offered by London Institute of Skill Development. And we are planning to have an international conference with this institute in October. I will not talk much. I would like to invite Professor Anthony for just sharing with us the rest and the background a little bit. And then the register for this program was the head of Career Center will be here just to call and read the names of the people as we give them the certificates. You are most welcome, Prof.
Good morning, everyone. Yes, thank you very much, DVC. Yes, I would go straight to the point and not waste most of your time. We partnered with London Institute of Skill Development to provide short courses, that would fit into the market in Rwanda. And one of them has just been completed. The ones for environmental science, I think most of the students thought they could just do the course and then they get their certificates. So they've not submitted the assignment. They submitted poor assignments. So we are still waiting for them in order for them to be able to get their certificates. So for today, we have procurement, logistics, and supply chain. They've completed successfully, and they are 12, but we have 10 present today. So I would like to invite Demesin, the head of career, because these short courses will fall under his docket, basically. He will be the one to liaison with the institute. He will be the main contact person when it comes to short courses. And as DVC said, we are having an international conference soon. The date is still tentative. Would inform you in due course before the end of this month. So, head of career, please come and introduce the students and their certificates. Right.
You included. Find somebody to take it. You are on the top of those. You are the one who wrote.
Thank you, DVCA. 12 participants attended the training entitled Procurement, Logistics, and Supply Chain Management. But today, 10 participants were agreed to attend this event, but I think only 9 are present. So we are going to call. It is not the list as we call the list. It is not based on the marks they had. It's all about how they registered. The first one who registered is the first one we are going to call as they registered. The first one is Esma Gibori Dennis. He's a UNILAK student in the master's program. Ambrose Mombo Sudi. He's also in UNILAK students in the master's program. Nziyomaze Shadrach. He's a UNILAK graduate and he's working at Francia Polyclinic. Sabato Emmanuel. He's a UNILAK student. Oui, tu l'aimerais. Mukabarisa Rachel. She's also a UNILAK student. Mukakanani Gertrude. Nduwayo Antoine is a UNILAK lecturer. Nzabayo Valence. And Daniel Muriba. Those are those who successfully completed the training on procurement, logistics, and supply chain management. Thank you. Yeah. Okay. After taking the photo with the certificates, we would like to invite the DVCA just to address the participants. Thank you.
So I think the time is not our side. I would like to take this opportunity to say thank you to the London Institute, because this is online. They are following, and they will be following it online on YouTube, because it's the London Institute of Skills Development that has delivered this course online. And I would like to recognize and to thank them. We have been we have had an interactive conversation and different meetings on this. And we would like to thank them for delivering this course and giving this very useful and very recognized certificate internationally, because this is accredited institute for skills development all over the world. It works with Harvard University and the other well-known university all over the world. Recently, they were conducting a research conference with Harvard University, I think, if I remember well. And our Vice Chancellor is the one who have delivered, who was a keynote speaker in that ceremony of the opening of that international conference. Maybe you have seen the photo moving around. That was the cooperation. So this is the beginning. We have introduced many training opportunities for the faculty of law, but we have not got people who have registered for that. We have also called for the faculty of environmental studies. Those one were supposed to graduate also today, but they have not fulfilled all the requirements. So they are still working on them. Since they complete, they will also graduate. So we have also launched the training for IT program, but also we have not get people who have registered for it. So I would like to thank the graduates of this course who have taken this very initiative and took their time and learn, face the challenges, work on assignments, work on whatever as the requirements of the course, and these are the fruits of your hard working. And I would like to congratulate you because this certificate is going to be part of your CV and is going to be part of your file, which is very important. Today, procurement is one of the fields that are very demanding on the market labor. Even we don't have in our country some programs, even the faculty departments delivering this. So that certificate can help you when you're applying anywhere after completion of MBA. When you apply for this opportunity of procurement, you will submit that certificate and surely it will help you because the institution that I provide this one is an accredited institution at a global level. So congratulations for such invaluable achievement. Dear colleagues, deans, and academic staff, let me take this opportunity of recognizing your presence here. This is an academic activity and a very important one and a very constructive one. So being here, I'm sure that you have learned a lot. You have got some new information. You have received the exposures that university is bringing. There are so many. So we shall be informing you so that you can participate area in research, in community services, and short courses. So things are there. So get ready so that you can get this continuous learning and take advantage of these opportunities we are given. Our dear graduates, let us thank you once again. And I would like to declare that the activity was taking place here is closed. So before we close, let us call Elder Josephat just to have a word of prayer. Then as we close. Thank you.
Let us pray. O Lord Father in heaven, we thank you for all opportunity we receive from you. Your blessing which accompany each one of us. We ask you to give us knowledge for helping our society, for improving the well-being of our society in general, and particularly our neighbors. God bless each one of this group present here. In Jesus' name we pray.
Thank you. I wish you just a blessed weekend.